So did you know that life skills are not just chores? They're not just sweeping, doing the dishes, mopping. Oh no. Life skills are things that we need to know that help us live a fulfilling, more successful life. And these are the things we need to pass on to our kids. So in this video, in honor of Thanksgiving this month, we're gonna talk about life skills that contribute to your child having a grateful heart and not an entitled one. So there's actually 6 main areas of life skills. There's finances, personal care, health and safety, self-management, chores, relationships, and community. And within these different categories, there's a lot of different skills that we can learn, that we can teach our kids that will help them to be grateful. This is a huge deal. Being grateful actually contributes to a lot of life happiness. If you're grateful, you're more content, you're more thankful, you're gonna strive less, you're gonna get less into this needing to go type of selfish ambition that ends up making you miserable, even if you do achieve some of those goals along the way. And for children under our roof, we just know that entitlement is just like, it's difficult to deal with. It's difficult to see in our kids, and we don't want to send our kids out into the world spoiled little brats. Or at least I don't. So the first life skill that contributes to gratitude and not entitlement is actually a skill that us mothers need to have. And so this is in the finance category. And that is, we need to make sure our children are not just spoilt for choice. And I learned this when I lived in England. My husband's Australian, so they would say this as well. Well, when your child is spoilt for choice, that means they just have so many options. There's just so much they can do that they don't really appreciate it, right? It's just like, oh, I've got like this assembly line over here of super expensive toys that I got for Christmas, but it's like, I don't have anything to do. So we mothers need to exercise in this life skill in the financial area where we don't just give them so much that they're spoiled for choice. It's like when you go into a restaurant and the menu is so big, you're like, ugh, I can't even pick. I don't even know what to do. Like, ugh, none of it even looks good. Like, should we dip, go to McDonald's, Taco Bell? No. So when we just give, our kids don't appreciate any of it. They're actually spoilt for choice, and it's even hard for them to dig in. This is why I advocate that the best toys you can get for your kids are actually dress-up clothes. Okay, I have a whole video on that I encourage you to check out. So this is the number 1, is that we need to focus on our own life skill of curbing our spending so that our kids aren't spoilt for choice. Because when they're just spoiled and got too much going on, they just aren't grateful for what they have. The second life skill our kids need to learn, and this is in the relationships and community life skill group, and that is practicing their manners. This is saying thank you and please. It's being polite. It's not interrupting. It's just learning to be considerate of others and learn to voice their needs and their wants while thinking of other people and what's appropriate in the moment. I'm gonna make a confession. I talk a lot and I'm an interrupter. And I'm gonna tell you how I know this. I know it because all of a sudden, a while back, I looked up and realized I had raised 5 kids who all interrupt. It was a distressing realization, and it was also distressing to realize I literally did it because I'm the one that taught them how to do this. So dinner time became an absolute total nightmare because everybody was just talking over everybody. In fact, we had to introduce something that I'm gonna let you know about. A talking stick. Oh, that's right. We had to get out a talking stick, and it didn't really, it worked for a little while, and then we got the hang of waiting. But I'll tell you why using your manners helps prevent some entitlement is because when kids are forced to think about other people, when they're forced to respond to others politely, it actually trains them to think about others, right? If it's like, I want to talk, everybody else shut up, I want to talk, then it actually, this is rude. And one thing we realized when we're using this talking stick, which was super interesting, is that the kids were so desirous of this that they would get it and be like, It was like they realized they didn't even really have anything to say. They just wanted to talk. And so this kind of was like a wake-up call that they're just only thinking about themselves. And so this is a small example, my own confession. Using their manners and practicing those, it just makes them more polite and less entitled. If you want to teach your kids life skills and you want to make sure that they're equipped and they don't sort of grow up and then realize they didn't, they get thrown in the deep end and they never had swimming lessons, then you are going to love what I have coming out after Christmas. It's all about teaching our kids life skills in little increments that are not overwhelming to us or them. Get on the wait list in the description box. The third life skill that will help kids become more grateful and less entitled is in the self-management category. And this life skill is self-awareness and the ability to think. Now, I know that sounds obvious, like of course we all think, but actually, well, I hate to say it, not everybody thinks. Not everybody be thinking these days, people, okay? And self-awareness is huge, and I'm gonna explain. So often what happens is we get our feelings hurt, we're scared, we're anxious, we're tired, we're depressed, whatever. And this just results in this like simmering inside, right? And we don't know what it is. And then we can be snippy. We can be short-tempered. We can be rude to other people. Because we need to focus on whatever's happening inside of us, we can become very self-focused. It's actually why I wrote a whole book on this called If Mama Ain't Happy. But it's actually why if we ignore all of these needs, we end up becoming more selfish. That's just an aside, and I have a video on that as well. But if we have all these feelings coming up and we ignore them, they end up sort of consuming us and we become very self-focused. So self-awareness and the ability to think about what's going on will kind of help you process through this so that you can just be more relaxed and content and grateful for where you're at. So our kids need to actually be taught to, okay, I see that you're very frustrated right now. What happened? And how did that make you feel? Okay, well, is there something that you need to do about that? Is there some way that I can support you and help you? Or if our kids are having a weird reaction to something, they're not wrong. If anything is ever, side note, pro tip, if your kids ever do something that just seems like weird and off, that's because you don't have all the info. And the more info you get, the more you'll understand that what they did made sense. And the more self-aware they are, just the more they're able to meet some of their own needs that they have or come ask for help if they need it. And they're just more calm. They're just less sort of selfish and entitled. The fourth life skill that we want to teach our kids falls into the chore category of life skills, and that is work ethic. That's right, this is an obvious one. No video on not raising entitled kids would be complete without talking about work ethic. And work ethic, you know, times change, seasons change, centuries change. What was a good work ethic, the type of work that was done before, is not really the same as the type of work that is done now. But a work ethic is whenever you're able to do the things that need to be done. You can do hard things even if it feels annoying. You can push through the resistance to doing something you know you need to do. You learn to do it anyway. And this is a huge life skill. It's one of the most important things, and it's one of the hardest parts about being an adult, is doing the things that we know we need to do, even if we don't feel like it. It ain't easy. It ain't easy, mama, and it ain't easy for the kids. And the sooner they learn to practice this and do this, the better off they are. The more they're able to be content with the things they have to do. So for example, and you'll see on YouTube, there's tons of videos now of moms and women romanticizing the daily tasks, you know, because we have to do them anyway. We can help make these normal things that we have to do a little bit more pleasant. The key is we got to do the things we got to do. So we want to teach our kids work ethic. That means we expect them to do things. You know, if they never have to do anything and then you ask them to clean up and they're like, oh, I don't know what exactly it's a sign of in your own house, but this is a sign they need to be doing more work. They need more chores. You know what to do, mama. You know what to do. If the kids don't want to do stuff, mama needs to take away stuff. Okay, that's a different video. A hard work ethic. So this is, you don't have to drum up a bunch of weird stuff either. You know, if the dishes need unloading, unload them. If the leaves need blowing outside, let them blow them. You know, if something needs to be put together, let them put it together. Just let the kids help. Let them do the normal things that you do to get them used to doing that. The sooner kids get used to just getting on with what needs to be done without hullabaloo, the more just calm and peaceful they are, and they don't feel like they're entitled to having everybody do everything for them. And the last life skill that will help kids develop a spirit of gratitude and not one of entitlement is also in the self-management category, and it is this. Kids need to learn to take responsibility for themselves. Now, this doesn't mean that we are going to require things that are not age appropriate from them. Oh no. And it doesn't mean we're going to stop doing things for them. Couldn't happen. We love our babies and we want to do lots of stuff for them, right? But taking responsibility for yourself is a huge thing. It's one of those dominoes that when it's done, it just fixes a lot of things in life, right? So if your kids learn or somehow begin to sort of blame others for everything, or, oh, well, I didn't do my homework because, you know, I was getting a snack, or my brother was talking to me, or I didn't bring that thing home from school because, you know, we were playing. And there's always a reason, instead of just saying, I forgot, I didn't do it, I dropped the ball. See, the ability to take responsibility for yourself is being able to admit if you mess up, or admit what is your job and what isn't. So for example, if it's your child's responsibility to clean their room, and that's one of the chores they're supposed to do, and they don't do it, and here comes movie night, but everybody had to have finished their chore, this is when you don't bend the boundary and you say, you didn't do the thing that you were supposed to do. But you didn't remind me. It's not my job to remind you, it's your job to remember. And I have one child who says, you know, but I forgot. And I'm like, forgetting is still in our responsibility. Like, it's still us. If we forget, that was still what we did, right? We're not shame, we're not heaping condemnation on them, none of this stupid stuff, but it was your job to do, you didn't do it, so go do it. That's it. It doesn't have to be heavy, it can be light. If there is a chore or something that's your kid's job, it's their job. Let them carry the weight of it on their shoulders. Carrying responsibility it's actually not as heavy as it sounds, because it's right. The things that are right and good and true, they might be difficult, but they don't feel as heavy. The things that feel heavy are like the extras that are added on. So we want to, from a young age, help our children in the self-management life category learn to realize what is their responsibility and what isn't. Because if kids always can fob off the responsibility on others, they will, because we as humans take the path of least resistance. We love blaming other people. It feels better than taking responsibility. It is true of all of us. Some personalities do it worse than others, but we can all do it. So we all have to just make it an effort to help teach our kids to be responsible, because when they begin to be grateful for things they have. If they work for something, they appreciate it when they get it. If they have saved for something, they appreciate it even more. Or even if they save for something and buy it and it didn't turn out that great, this is a lesson they absorb in themselves, because this was something they were in charge of. So if we want our kids to not be entitled, to not think they're owed everything, to not blame everybody else for their problems, then we need to get busy on teaching them some of these life skills. Be sure to watch my next video where I talk about 8 things that you might not think of that make your kids entitled.